All right, well, we're back for the final season finale of Wheel of Time, season 3. And, well, let's just hop right into it. I'll be honest, if I summed it up in one word for me, it would probably be lackluster.
It
What were your thoughts on it?
really wasn't like I said, we're in a different storytelling now, so there's no comparison to the book. As far as this particular episode, I guess it was part that needed to be told, but yeah, it wasn't very exciting.
Yeah, I tell you, for this show, the one thing that it has, I mean, again, I've said it before, I'm a sucker for fantasy, and so I'm watching it. There's a lot of, well, not a lot. There are quite a few things that I like about the show, and then a whole lot that I'm not too thrilled about. The visuals are great. I really do like the visuals, and I guess that's my biggest plus for the show. But I have a number of questions for you regarding this particular episode. But there was a whole lot that happened in it also that I thought was just it was silly and it really didn't make any sense to me. I mean, maybe somebody could make sense of it to me, but I don't know. I think they'd be hard pressed to do so. With that being said, let me jump in with a question. Who is the character? They made him into like a lion person, it seemed, and it reminds me of something, but I can't put my finger as to what it reminds me of. But it was the place that Matt ended up going at there towards the end of the episode, I believe, and he makes his. It seems like some type of power that grants wishes to an extent, but there's obviously a price to be paid. Matt's a complete and utter idiot, at least in the show he is, and seemed to not pick up on that for whatever reason. So in any case, do you happen to know what that creature was, what their powers are, and how that plays a role in the story?
All right, I think I absolutely missed that in the thing we watched. We watched part of it, and I wasn't feeling well. I wound up falling asleep, and then today I wanted to go back and watch from the beginning, and we did not go back to the beginning. Uh, we went back some way and started again. So I really do not remember that scene at all. But I have been waiting for the scene where Matt goes into some kind of labyrinth or whatever, and he meets these two different creatures. Okay, in the book, Matt goes into this place. I don't remember all of it, but it was like a labyrinth or a giant Epcot center or something. Anyway, he goes in, and while he's in there, he confronts these different creatures, and I believe they were called the Ale Fin and the Ale Win, but I don't
Okay.
I don't remember for sure. It's been too
So
many
yeah,
decades.
online it says that in the books that happened in Ruidian, but Matt in this episode he does confront the Aelfin in this episode, and it looks like I forget the character's name who in this episode was taking over the Amerlin seat, the red from the Queen's Palace.
Eladia.
Yeah, so we see that at some point she had made some type of deal with the Aelfin as well. Not entirely sure what all that was, and that seems to have led to uh, Swan Shin, the current Amerlin seat, having actually won out. So this was in the past. I think it was 10 years or so in the past. But in this episode, yeah, Matt also meets the Elfin and ends up getting like 3 wishes essentially, although he doesn't seem to have understood that. In any case, in the book, do you recall what the Elfin is and its purpose, its
No, I
powers,
don't
any
know
of
if it
that?
ever actually explained what it was.
Oh, okay.
And I
Because
don't recall him getting. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that from the looks of it, I was trying to determine if the Elfin had enough power, how much power it truly had. So, for example, if you wanted to eliminate the dark one, could you do that with them? Could you stop the wheel? Like how much power does one of these creatures or whatever this power is, how much does it actually have? What all is it capable of doing? You know?
On the book, I only remember Matt getting two things from the Aelfin. One was his Yari Naginata. I don't know what you'd call the weapon. It was a spear weapon with a blade on the end. And the other thing he got was an amulet that eliminated the one power. You could not use the one power on it.
Okay, so he had gotten a couple of things in the book apparently, and in this one, I don't recall off the top of my head. I'm gonna have to go back and take a look. He had wanted two different things. I know one was to get out of there. I think that may have been his last one, which was really stupid. And again, I don't know how he didn't pick up as to what was going on with this creature. But oh well. Another big thing that happened. I mean, it was kind of the underlying or the main plot of the whole thing was Rand proclaiming himself to be Karakhan. All of the Aiel had met, all the chiefs and everything, and it seems like they have 100,000 strong army. It would appear. I'm guessing that this is a society where just about everybody's a warrior for the most part, and even if they have other responsibilities, they're all trained to some degree in martial arts. But I don't know if this occurred in the book with Lanfear putting the false tattoos on another individual so that they could proclaim that they're also Karakhan. But I just found the whole thing to be quite silly because all Matt would need to do is weave, which he can. He can control the one power. The other person obviously would not be able to. So I really didn't understand why this was a big deal. It's like I could easily prove that you're not the person that you're saying you are just from channeling. I don't know. That really annoyed me.
You're meaning Rand, right?
Yeah, I'm meaning Rand whenever he's there, and all the different chiefs are there, and then the false guy claims to be Karakhan because Lanfear had put the tattoos on him. And so that obviously brings
well,
into
you said
question.
Matt. I just want to make sure.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Rand.
I don't know that the Aiel prophecy said that he would be able to channel.
Well, I don't know if it did or not either. I mean, in their thing though, they're aware of. I mean, isn't this just the name for? What do they call? What does everybody else call the Karakhan? The Dragon Reborn? Isn't that just the same name for that? So they were aware of the first dragon.
No, they're not necessarily the same thing.
Okay.
The Dragon Reborn is the Wetlander thing, and that's the recoming of Luz Telemon, who will, do his thing. The Karn is just the leader that will break the eel and save a remnant of a remnant. I don't think the prophecy of the eel ever said that he would channel. Kind of like all the wise women of the eel don't necessarily channel.
Okay.
To be a Shaddai, which is a Wetlander thing, you have to be able to channel. But to be a wise woman amongst the eel, you do not.
Okay. I mean, well, maybe that's, maybe he wouldn't have to channel to prove it. Although I still don't understand why anyone should believe what he supposedly saw in Ruidian versus what the other guy claimed to have seen in Ruidian. Like, I mean, that's again, to me, it's
terribly
just
different in the book. In the book, it was way, way different. In this one, they're giving you these hurry-up versions that do not necessarily have a structure beneath to support why they're doing it. So that's why you're left wondering, well, why would they? And at this point, it truly is just, he said this versus he said that, or this one said this and the other one said that. so they got to choose, which one they want. So yeah, I mean, the movie has left a lot of that up, but what you need to know is that the Shado, which is the group that predominantly opposes Rand, its male leader died, and the female that is coming up is more concerned about her own power and her prestige than she is anything else. And she is using that guy as a figurehead to meet her own means.
Right.
So basically, she's manipulating, the political situation and whatnot to have him accepted as that, so that her power can be better.
Yeah. And, well, two other thoughts that I had on this whole Aiel take in this episode. Two big ones. One, I don't understand why they're always shitting on the quote unquote wetlanders whenever they live in a shitty desert with no water, and that seems to be like the one thing that they want all the time, water. And I mean, God, they even bowed down after Rand made it rain there, and it's like, yeah, you could live in a place that's lush and full of vegetation and water and everything else too if you just moved out of the desert. And then the second part is, when they had that many people meeting in the middle of the desert, where were they getting supplies, water, food, any of that type of stuff? I don't know. It was baffling to me that they're all meeting literally in the middle of the desert, not at anybody's respective towns or wherever they might be living. I mean, that was a lot of people. What the one tribe alone brought 10,000? The one with Rand?
Yeah, probably.
I'm just thinking, where are you all going to the bathroom? Where are you all drinking? Like, where is all the stuff that you would need with this many people?
I believe in the book they talked about Rudine having a fountain. So there was a water supply. The rest of it, I don't know. I guess you just go out in the sandbox and dig a hole.
Didn't look like that's where they were meeting, though. I mean, I didn't see Rudine. I just saw nothing, just dunes, sand and dunes.
Oh, well, maybe I'm mistaken.
That's why I was baffled
he
by
called
it. I'm like, there's nothing out here.
I had a weird, and this is just a stray side thought, but it did dawn on me, and it's, had me wondering, so I want to comment on it. You notice how throughout this, the tinkers, the people who follow the way of the leaf, they're all vegetarian.
Yeah, well, yeah. Are they?
Yeah.
Are they all vegetarian? Or I know the mom was, and I remember like even I think you're right. I think they are all vegetarian, but I remember
she brought for this out, show they are.
Okay, because they brought out the soup or whatever, and it had meat. And she's like, "Don't worry, I know you're vegetarian. I know you don't eat meat. I picked out all the meaty parts." And her son was about to eat it still, and she gave him a look, and he stopped. Which I was like, "Gosh, you're taking it that far, huh?"
So it dawned on me that they weren't like that in the book. And on top of that, the whole reason why they don't carry swords is that swords can't get you food. You can't hunt with them, according to them. So they carry spears and stuff. But you know what? If you're a vegetarian, you don't need to hunt with a spear.
Well, that's the Aiel carry the spears. The other troop, the Way of the Leaf, they don't carry any weapons.
Right, but the reason why the Aiel don't carry swords is because they have a singular purpose. They're only good for killing. They're only good for war. They're not good for hunting.
So like, that's the question. Is like, so you don't carry knives either or anything? Like, what are you talking about? How do you chop up food? What do you do? Yeah, I'm not.
I'm going out with my spears to hunt some apple.
Right. I'd like to read it. It's just I don't know that never made much sense to me either. And yeah, it is what it is. I mean, I think it's a cool concept, and I'm sure it's probably explained way better in the book. But for having not read the series yet, the show makes it makes no sense to me. Quite silly, if you ask me. But so one thing that I really enjoyed. Who's considered the weakest of the Forsaken? It's the female, and she seems to like
Yeah, Mogadine.
related. What is it?
Mogadine, the spider chick.
Yeah, yeah, the spider chick. I liked her. I liked the visuals too. After she had essentially dissected that guy, the other Forsaken. You know, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it looked like his blood spatter kind of froze.
Yeah, he peeled them all back, and I'm guessing I don't know if he's dead or just still alive there suffering. It's hard to tell. I'm curious. So does not Moraine? Who's the head of the red? Well, she's a dark she's a dark friend too, but she'd gone to Mogadine and basically stated she
Leandrin.
wanted to be.
Is it
Yeah,
Leandrin?
Leandrin. Does she become a Forsaken or one of them? I know she's trying her
Not in the
hardest to do
book.
so. Yeah, she probably won't in this either. It doesn't look like it, but I know she made the offer to Mogadine. I think you said her name was to be
Yeah,
able
I
to.
don't think I'm pronouncing it the way they do on the show, but that's how I pronounced it when I read the book. So that's what's in my head.
Yeah. Well, it looks like her and Leandrin may be teaming up then to potentially take down Rand or control him now that they have the collar. Actually, I'm thinking about it. What happened? I know Mogadine ended up. She was able to get one of the van braces for from the two women, Nynaeve and the princess, and then Leandrin had found the other one, I think, at some point. So they have those two, and then the collar. Oh, that's what happened. As I'm talking about it, that's what happened. So Nynaeve found the collar, the third piece, and Leandrin took it from her and then she threw Nynaeve down into the water. That's what, yeah, it was down in the water and she was drowning or whatever. And then, split the sea like Moses and walked out of it, which it could have been a slightly better scene. I was ruined on it for two reasons. One, I thought it took way too long for this girl boss moment of, splitting the water, coming out, all that type of shit. But also, it seems like Nynaeve. I'm curious if they're going to have her be able to control her power now. And I know we talked about it a little bit before, where I don't think she ever actually gets to control her power in the books. And I'm curious if she's going to now be able to control it and what that will entail.
I think in the book she did eventually figure out how.
No, you
But
told me
honestly,
before
I
that she
forget.
did it, and Egwene was able to, and she was pretty powerful. Nynaeve was really powerful, but never was able to.
Yeah, yeah, it's been decades
Been
since I
so
read
long.
it, so
Yeah.
I'm not sure. She must have done something right because it was her and Rand that used that triangle to cleanse the male side.
Mm. Well, I wonder if they can,
And I
if he
can't.
uses her kind of like a conduit, where she's got so much power, it's great and can be used to siphon it. But I don't know.
Well, maybe, but
And
I don't think males and females can cross that way.
oh, that's interesting. Now, a few other major things happened in this. One being Swan Sanchez. She was. I don't understand why the women. What they. I forget what they call it. Not silence, but they took away her power
Still,
and
they stilled her.
stilled her. Yeah, I don't understand why they stilled her before just killing her, because not really anything happened between that other than her giving a speech. It was like, why didn't you just kill her instead of stilling her, or instead of stilling her first?
drama for the movie.
Yeah. Okay.
I
I
mean,
don't know if you had
that's
thought of
what I'm
anything else
saying,
other than me.
because like I said, the book and the movie now are so completely divergent that you can't make suppositions from the book about the movies anymore, because they are two completely different retellings. Anyway, in the book, she was stilled, but she was not murdered. And, in this one, she's been stilled and killed.
Now,
And of course, in the book,
go ahead.
no, you were saying with what?
Oh, I was gonna go on another. You can finish your thought. I was gonna ask another question related to it.
Well, the only other thing I was going to say is that in the book, Moraine disappeared. You never knew what happened to her exactly.
What happened to Moraine?
That was just one of the mysteries. Yeah, Moraine. She just disappeared. I believe she went into Viridian and disappeared, if I recall correctly. But she disappeared, and you never knew exactly what happened to her. In this one, they have her. Well, she isn't dead yet. She was laying there in Land's arms at the end of it, but it looked like it might be mortal, the injury she got from land fear.
Damn well should be, in my
But that
opinion.
never occurred in the.
Well, and that's the question. So, Moraine feels Swan's death. I don't know if they were bound in some way, kind of like her and Lan are, but or if it was something. Remember, whenever Moraine was banished and she had to swear it, type of thing on that. I think even on the staff or something. I forget exactly what it was. There was some type of binding spell contract type thing. I'm assuming that would be broken now that they're dead, so she could return to the White Tower if she was so chose. But I don't know if it was that allowed her to feel the death of Swan, or if it was some other binding similar to the warders in the Aes Sedai, or what. But I don't know. I was thinking about that a little bit.
Or was it that they had such an epic love that lasted through time and space?
Yeah, it was just a bunch of BS. I don't know. Well, were there any other notable takeaways that you wanted to comment on?
I recall there was one other thing I wanted to say, but I can't remember what it was now. And I don't think it was, really important. I think it was more like one of my little that bugged me things, like the vegetarian versus carrying spear. So no, I can't think of anything right off. I apologize that I'm not.
Ask my question.
I'm not as sharp as I would like to be. I haven't felt well, so I haven't. I don't know. I've missed a lot of it and pay attention to some. So probably to really understand it as much as you can, I'm going to have to go back and watch it. But when does the next season come out?
Probably not until sometime next year, if they're even making another season. I'm not entirely sure. I don't know if it's been renewed for a fourth season or not. I can look that up. But even if it is, it won't be until sometime next year at the earliest. And that kind of leads into my final question that I was going to have was what, given what we know from the show, not the books, but the show, where do you think this goes? Like, where's this leading to?
Well, like I said, if you go back to Edmund's Field, the Two Rivers, whatever you want to call it, if you go back to the village where Rand came from, at one point you met a Master Luke. And he was there for a minute, and then I don't recall seeing him anymore in the show. But in the book, he was there, and he was one of the Forsaken. So if you count him, you've now had 5 of the Forsaken, and there were 13 of them, correct?
Yeah.
plus the Dark One himself. So at this point, at most, you've only seen 5 of those.
Mm-hmm.
So if the movie or if the series is renewed, they've got at least 8 more Forsaken that they can introduce, and they can fill out that Master Luke one. And yeah, I mean, and where are they going to go? I don't know, man, because they have jumped all over the place. Rand went to Tyr and drew Kalendor, and they did all kinds of things before he ever made it to Ruidian. And in this one, he was there almost at the beginning, and now they're kind of jumping around. So, no idea.
Well, yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to kind of see, and that reminds me of some other stuff that occurred that we can touch on right before we wrap up, and that is, Elaine Tracan, she was with the Gleeman, and the Gleeman, noted to her how he's been keeping tabs on the palace and all that type of stuff, and basically he said that the person that we know who is a dark friend, in fact, I believe he's one of the Forsaken, who is the consort to the queen, must have planted these memories of being there since she was a child and all of this into everybody's head because this didn't actually happen.
Right.
So she's at some point needs to go back home.
That was Ravin, right?
What'd you say?
That the guy that's currently with Queen Morgas, that's Ravin.
I believe so. Anywho, well, I guess so. I looked it up. Doesn't look like anything's officially been set as to whether or not there's going to be a season 4. If there is, like I said, at the earliest, it's going to be 2026, if not 2027. So we'll see. As many gripes as I have about the show, I do hope that they finish it out. I would like to see a conclusion to this. Granted, I don't think you could do it in one more season. You're probably going to need 2 or 3 at the most. So, any final words from yourself?
No, but I really think that if they finish it out in even 3 more seasons, it's going to do a huge disservice. I mean, that was a 14-volume set.
I agree, and I haven't read the series. I want to, but I don't know how much. It sounds as though they're speeding things up a whole lot, or at the very least, jumping around a whole lot. So I don't know what their idea was. What the writers' ideas were in terms of beginning and ending. How many seasons they thought that it would take to do so. I guess we'll find out one way or the other. But until next time, until season 4.
That's the part that kills me.
What?
Well, it's a self-limiting series. So when they, it's kind of like Shogun, right? They make Shogun. They can only make it so many seasons or so many episodes, so many whatever you want to call, because it is a completed story. Well, this is a completed story. Granted, it's 14 volumes long, but it is a completed story. Why not set it up to do a complete story? It's not like a lot of Hollywood things where they invent it there and they just keep writing as it goes. So there is no final end that you're working toward per se, right? It's open-ended. This isn't. The story's, it's been told, it has a conclusion. They're working to tell that story, then, tell the damn story.
Well, that's the problem in Hollywood and current day, cinema and everything else is that they can't do it for whatever reason. I get so tired of hearing how, executives and stuff like that, they want to go with the sure thing. They're too afraid to take risks, so on and so forth. And by those comments, people are meaning that by risky, they mean, untested things. That's why you get prequels and sequels because, the next Ghostbusters or, Sonic franchise or Lord of the Rings, that's already been tried and tested and we know it's a hit, so let's just keep doing it. And then they flop, where and you know, they've been flopping for the better part of a decade now, not only movies and TV shows for a variety of reasons, but you know, one of the things is that people are tired of the same old same. Do something different, and there's so much to choose from. And you know, this is a great example of that. Yeah, instead of, you know, I don't know if it's hubris or if it's the money or what it is, the idea that we're going to create this series, it's going to make money. And instead of just creating a good series that has a beginning, has a middle, and has an end, and just being done with it, they can't do that, because if it makes good money, they want to keep doing it, so they make up a bunch of BS. Now, I'm not saying that about this particular series, because I don't think this particular series is actually doing all that well in the greater scheme of things, but it's something that they could have done with, to your point, right? It is a set story, and that's the other thing that baffles me with these types of adaptations, whenever they're from books or comics or what have you. It's already written for you, dude. Particularly when they're bestsellers, right? It's like, how do you screw up a bestseller whenever it comes to this? You've got a built-in audience, right? You've got a story written for you already. You've got the plot, you've got the characters, just adapted to the screen. But for whatever reason, you know, untalented people wanting to latch on and quote unquote create their own thing, but what they're actually doing is just bastardizing somebody else's work, and it leads to crap. Is what happens. They it's the hubris to believe that they could have done it better, and what it does is it convolutes stuff, makes things not make any sense, and it just destroys IPs. And I think that's what's going on, and that's what you know, I share similar frustrations, because that's what it sounds like. It sounds like frustrated is like, here you go, here's 14 volumes adapted to screen. But instead, what do we get? We get whatever is going on now. I'm not sure where it leads to, and they might not know where it leads to. That's the other problem, is, you know, you're not guaranteed to get however many seasons you need to make something work. And so, okay, we're going to try and rope people in here in the first season because this is all we got, so we got to throw in all this different crap. Well, that causes problems downstream because you didn't account for actually getting more, you know, seasons renewed. And I don't know, it just seems to be like a convoluted mess to me, but it's incredibly irritating. And that's why the stuff typically doesn't work out, is because they make these decisions with a short-term view, as opposed to the, you know, the long-term vision of it. You know, let it play out, man. If it fails and you can't keep it up, it is what it is. But by screwing it up, what that does, in my opinion, is that it makes it difficult to ever try again with the stuff, because, oh, look, it didn't work before. Well, yeah, it didn't work before because you screwed it up before. But anyway,
I think
with
that
that,
a whole lot of their problems, I believe that a whole lot of their problems, you know, the underlying story and stuff, if you don't want to tell the story, if you don't want to act the story out, whatever, get a narrator. Have the narrator explain what's going on. You know, just engage the audience more. Allow us to know, allow us to know what you're thinking, because in the book, like I said, you learned as they learned, which was really nice, right? Because you have these teenagers who are ignorant of the world. They're not dumb. They just don't know. And they go out and they get these guides like Tom Maryland. So, Tom's explaining the different, the different lands, the different cultures, the this and the that. So as they're learning it, you are too. Well, in the show, you don't know that. I mean, in the show at one point, I recall they showed the white cloaks, and you could see Tarvalon in the background. Well, if you read the books, you'd know that would never happen, not unless there was open war. They're not going to get that close to the White Tower, right? Because the White Cloaks think that the Aes Sedai are witches that need to be wiped out, and the Aes Sedai would protect themselves furiously if White Cloaks ever got that close. So there's just so much that they don't explain.
Yeah,
Your problem with the guy and the fake dragon tattoos on his arm. A narrator could have explained that, right?
right.
And now this woman from the Shado tribe, in an effort to boost her own power, has done this, and that. Oh, that's why they did it. That's who that is. That's But no, they don't do it. They just put it in there, and let's hope you understand it.
Yeah, and it's irritating because you're right, and they could do this. I hear a lot of people complain about exposition dumps, which are essentially just talking out exactly what's going on so that the audience understands. But that'd be fine in situations like this, and I forget what the term is for it. Whenever whatever's going on is taking place in the story, right? So if Tom is explaining to us, right, if he's explaining to the characters, Rand and Perrin and all of them, what something is or how the world works or what have you, right? Well, that's informing the audience too. That's great. That's a great way to do it. It's kind of similar. I forget the name, when the difference between like music that's playing, but it's not like the people in the movie or the show are clearly don't hear the music. But then there's other times whenever the music is part of the show, right? Like if you're at a live concert or something like that and you're hearing the music. So I don't know. It reminds me of a way to do it in that fashion, to where, yeah, if there's a lot that needs to be explained, well, have it be explained. Let us either just have a narrator, a generic narrator where they're talking over the show, or have it explained in the show, through our characters, so that we understand what's going on. Because there's a lot of questions that, to me, it doesn't make a lot of sense, and I'm sure it probably makes better sense in the books. But if you're gonna change the source material to fit the screen, then you damn well better make sure that it makes sense on screen, because there's a lot of things that just do not make sense, and it's frustrating to those of us who watch.
I completely agree, and I have read the books, so I'm doubly frustrated sometimes because I'm wondering, well, what the hell are you doing, and why are you doing that now, and what happened to this, and yeah.
All right. Well, until the possibility of a season 4, thanks for watching. If you're interested in another show, and in my opinion, probably a better show, check out our review on Mobland.